Welcome to the General's Gentleman.
Hello! Today I would like to introduce a new RTS. It's called Spellbringers. It's a total conversion mod for Warcraft 3, and it's made by a friend of mine, an actual IRL friend. And I've been playing it for about a year or so with him. He's been working on it for much longer, and it's now in open beta. So we're looking for new people to play with us, and so that's why I'm posting this video. There's a Discord where everyone plays and chats about the stuff, and I've made a few videos for him on there's a Spellbringers YouTube channel where I've done some shoutcasts and I've done some overview videos talking about the factions and whatnot. So in this video, I'll post the gameplay overview that I've made, and then at the end, I'll also I'll post a shoutcast that I've also done, so you can get a feel for the game, see if it's something that you're interested in. I know most of my audience are fans of Command & Conquer and Company of Heroes, and so not everyone's going to be keen about a Warcraft 3 mod, but hopefully some of you will. I think it's a really fun game. Even though it's a Warcraft 3 mod, it plays out more like StarCraft, Brood War in particular, because there's no heroes, there's no creeps, the scale's larger like in StarCraft. So yeah, I'm pretty active there. So it's the main RTS game that I've actually been playing lately. I enjoy it because it has a lot of the depth of StarCraft, but it isn't quite as heavy on the APM as StarCraft. It's a bit more casual, I suppose, but it's still a very challenging game. It's also a good time for new players to join because, like I said, we just hit the open beta, and so there's a bunch of new people in there. And so if you're new as well, then you have some people to play with that are going to be at a similar skill level. So I think that's it. I'll go ahead and post the videos now. Yeah, join the Discord if you're interested. It is, of course, the mod is free, obviously, but you have to own Warcraft 3 Reforged in order to play it. And what else was I going to say? Yeah, it's the other thing I was going to say that it's really fun being involved with an RTS game that's not made by an actual company, because you have like a lot more iteration, a lot more like direct line talking about design and suggesting changes, and having that input is I think really fun. I love RTS design, and theory crafting about RTS design I think is really fun to me, and so I've enjoyed being a part of this, and especially because it's a friend of mine, so it's cool hanging out with him and playing this game together. So yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching, and I hope you're interested. If you are, then of course get involved in the Discord. See you. Welcome to Spellbringers, a real-time strategy game as a total conversion mod for Warcraft 3. Spellbringers is heavily inspired by StarCraft Brood War and has been in development for 3 years. It features completely new factions, each with dozens of unique new units and abilities. In the world of Spellbringers, conflict wages between a pantheon of gods and their followers. The 3 factions currently in Spellbringers represents the followers of the God of Order, of Nature, of Death, and with more planned for the future. To channel the power of their deity, these factions construct a Spellbringer, allowing them to invoke godly powers to aid their forces and combat enemies. These abilities range from a protective shield to a murder of crows or to a death pyramid. However, Spellbringers is grounded in traditional RTS gameplay. Resource collection, base building, army production, scouting, unit counters, spellcasters, and good old-fashioned micro are all central to the game. The factions are designed to be as asymmetric as possible. The Death faction, for example, doesn't produce their core units out of structures, but out of necromancers which toggle between base building and summoning undead forces to the battlefield. Nature supplements their base building by summoning temporary workers. These saplings have a short lifespan when not constructing, but can chain buildings for a prolonged lifespan. Saplings can also be used as temporary combat units. These factions are filled with all kinds of unique and interesting units, and synergize with the Spellbringer abilities. Each time a vampire lord kills an enemy unit, it steals the life of its victim and permanently gains a bonus to health and damage. Additionally, the Spellbringer's Eclipse ability can turn the vampires into terrifying assassins, gaining a bonus to movement and attack speed while being hidden in the night. Everything in Spellbringers has its counters. Vampires are vulnerable to magic damage or can simply be blasted from the sky with air units. Join our community on Discord and play an exciting new real-time strategy game, Spellbringers. Hello and hello, welcome to Spellbringers. This is a total conversion mod for Warcraft 3 Reforged. I'll be doing a shoutcast today between two players, one of which is myself, GG the Machine, down here. And at the top, the author of this mod, in fact. I'm a little bit confused about what to call him because his Warcraft 3 handle in-game here says Koth, but he tends to go by Bob or Ogre Bob. I'm gonna call him Bob, Ogre Bob. Like when you play Spellbringers, it says created by Ogre Bob. He's actually my real life friend, and so it's kind of weird calling him Bob. But yeah, so this is a Warcraft 3 mod, and it is very different to Warcraft 3. The start of the game might look kind of similar, but as the game progresses, you'll start to notice it is very different. There are no creeps on the map, there's no heroes, the economy is quite different, there's a lot more importance on wood. The scale is very different. So actually it plays out more like StarCraft Brood War than really any other game, including Warcraft. So this mod has been in production for many years, at least 3 years in its current iteration. And there are 3 factions currently in the game. The 2 factions that we see in this game is Nature at the top. They're like elf, but also combined with a lot of animals, and so they're like the what is it? The Rampart faction in Heroes of Might and Magic 3. It's actually an interesting analogy. Bob has talked exactly about how those factions have inspired his faction design. And speaking of Heroes 3 factions, if you have played the game, you'll get my references. The humans, they're kind of like the castle faction. They're called Order. So they have a combination of not only humans, but it's also angels. You'll see some of those units late game. I don't think this game quite goes into the Archangel Knights. Anyway, so already we have some action. Now, this isn't like a normal shoutcast because, again, I'm in this game, so I know how it all goes. So for me, there won't quite be the tension that we normally see, but there's already some early aggression here. We have the looters from the Nature. They're a very, very deadly harassment unit. They're quite fragile. You can see they're getting beaten up by the peasants, but they have very high damage themselves, and so they can kill workers very quickly if you're not paying attention. And true to their name, we saw the loot ability. He looted a corpse, got some gold and lumber. Now, there is a difference in our build orders. So I'm down here as the order, and I've already went for a fast expansion, which is the standard way of playing, like in StarCraft Brood War or StarCraft 2. Whereas Bob here, he hasn't gone for an expansion. So this is one base cheese, one base aggression. Now, the Falconers are trying to prevent the looters from killing this castle, but they're not having a good time. Because there's just so many of them, the extra resource spent on my castle has prevented me from getting a large army. The Falconers, they have a poison damage, so they're pretty low damage normally, but they're doing damage over time, every second. However, the poison cannot get the killing blow. So I'm trying to repair this castle with the peasant. Meanwhile, the Falconers are throwing their poison darts. The castle, it's barely alive for now. Peasants are being rallied forward to try and keep this one alive. But alas, it does go down. So that was a very big mistake on my part. I definitely should have pulled those peasants much earlier. Now I would have lost the peasants. It wouldn't have been clean. It would have been a bit of a sad state of affairs for the peasants. But keeping the castle would have been enough. Now there's the enforcer on the field. So this enforcer hard counters these looters. The armor type heavy is very effective against these enforcers. So different units in the game have different armor types, like in Warcraft 3, but the system is a little different. And so now this rush has lost the steam. It's not going to do much more. However, given that it did snipe my castle, it has paid off. You can see the enforcers chopping up those looters, no problems at all. Much slower, much more expensive, and they require the barracks. So the blacksmith, which is why I was not able to produce those enforcers out earlier. And still the looters are here, so they're preventing me from expanding. Yeah, he's going to lose several more of these looters, so at this point it stops being worth it. Now we are seeing some abilities being used, so this is a very big part of Spellbringers. We see the Crow of Storms. Oh, it's no, sorry, it's the Murder of Crows. Murder of Crows, forgive me if... this is my first time casting this game, of course, and so even though I know the game very well, shoutcasting, it always takes a bit of warming up. It's one thing to play a game, but it's one thing to get keen and shout words. Be like, looters, enforcers, crows, spears, falconers, all the good stuff. So the expansion's gone down now. This is a scan. Yeah, I haven't explained the Spellbringers yet. So Spellbringers, that might be confusing because the name of this mod or game, whatever you want to call it, it is Spellbringers. And that refers to these specific structures. This here is the Order Spellbringer, and this is the Nature Spellbringer. And so what these Spellbringers do is they allow these forces to tap into the powers of their deity, because each of these factions are followers of a god in the universe of Spellbringers, for a lack of a fantasy name of some kind. And so here Valentor's mirror. Valentor is the god of the god whom the Order follow. This one actually lacks a name, so this is a new model, so you can see it's been updated. The ancient Spellbringer hasn't been updated. That's just the default model from Warcraft 3. There is a mix of new models, like the Looter is a new model, the Archer is not. Of course, the Enforcer is a new model, the Spearman is not. The Spearman, I think, is the Bandit from Warcraft 3. Anyway, so with these Spellbringers, you can call down powerful abilities onto the battlefield, and there'll be offensive abilities like the Murder of Crows that you saw. It hacked up my enforcers. There was the Grasping Roots, which locked the enforcer in place, and those make a big difference in battles. But there's also other kinds of spells. You have scouting spells like the I don't know what it's called, the scan that you saw me use earlier here to reveal the expansion, or rather reveal the lack of expansion. Okay, Divine Shield, what is it called? Divine Intervention, that one's called. So that is giving 99999 armor. Basically what's happening is the enforcer's typing in the cheat code. He's like, greedy is good 99999, or whatever the cheat code is for getting lots of armor. And so basically the unit's going to take very little damage during that duration. And so as the opponent, what you want to do is to focus something else. You obviously don't want to be doing one damage. And the cheese relents. It continues, because we see Bob here going for it's an archery post. And now he's mixed in these sprites. And so the sprites, another custom model, I will have you know, they do magic damage. So now they're very effective against these enforcers. So there's a bit of a micro battle here. The enforcer's obviously going to chop up those archers, but they've got to be careful about these sprites. Also, the crows go down, the entwine goes down. That's another ability onto the archery post from the Spellbringer, that is, giving it regeneration, giving it those vines. So a lot of abilities being deployed here by the Nature's Spellbringer, and likewise for the Order as well. The Avatar of Command, it is a powerful temporary unit. It also has a taunt ability to draw in units, and what else does it do? It gives like a 15% damage buff. So these spells, they do cost a lot of mana. And when your mana runs out, you can be stuck without those abilities. And they have long cooldowns too, depending on which ability it is. So you do have to be quite conservative using these abilities. And now we have the Blight Widows. So these are, these are a siege unit. So the siege unit's obviously good against the towers. They have a fair bit of range, so they can snipe units. And overall, they're just a pretty strong unit. so long as they're able to keep their distance. And now at this point, I'm freaking out a little bit here because I have no third base here. And of course, Bob, he has scouted this with a Spirit Owl. So he knows what's up, and he himself is about to get that third base. So being pinned in my base, obviously not a good position to be in. So as a result, I'm going for the war factories, the double factories. There's no siege tanks, of course. This isn't StarCraft, but there are the catapults, which are a little bit similar. They themselves, they're a siege unit. Bit of a battle here, though. I'm trying to snipe these spiders down. One of them gets sniped, the other one running for his dear life. Divine Protection keeping the Enforcer alive. The Spearmen making use of their serrated spears, that being an upgrade from the lumber mill, giving them a slow. You'll see this now that whenever the Spearmen impale something, there's a bit of a clunky noise. And the unit, there's like a spear sticking out of its back and it's bleeding, and so it's easy to chase it down. Another Spellbringer ability here, the Spirit Dwarves, they are deployed from the Spellbringer. They repair very, very quickly, but they do have limited lifespan, and of course they have health that can be killed. But now the catapult has arrived. I can start sniping down these archery posts, allowing me to push out. And even just sniping the units, the catapult is very strong. If it connects, but it can't track moving targets. Desperately, I'm trying to repair this cannon tower, but it does fall. Once again, looking to snipe these Blight Widows, because if they're removed, then I can buy time. So we're seeing both of these Spellbringer abilities compound. There was both the Divine Protection, oh, tasty shot with the catapult. Divine Protection for the shield and the Grasping Roots on the Enforcer, locking him in place. Burning Oil has been upgraded onto his catapults, giving them damage over time, and very, very powerful are those catapults. In this sort of tight battle like this, they're a deadly unit. In the open, however, the catapults can get flanked. They can get their shots evaded. So this is really where catapults shine. So finally, I'm securing my base, my second base, but still the third base has completed for Bob, so he's definitely in a better position. Trading not the most efficiently in the world. Now ignore the 180. That's a bug currently. This is actually an old version, so that has since been fixed. Yeah, this mod it is very much still a work in progress. Now these two factions, the Order and then see, look at this. He's kiting it, stepping forward, getting a couple of good pot shots there, dodging those catapults. And so because of that, I once again call down the Spirit Dwarfs to get the quick repairs on these catapults. The Enforcer locked in place, but there's the Divine Shield keeping it alive.
I'm on the job.
So we're seeing these spiders make use of their web ability. So when they're in the protection of their web, they gain a bonus to armor, so they're much harder to kill. Oh, I hit my own Enforcers. So it's a very micro-intensive unit, the catapult. So you can attack ground manually to track moving targets and prevent your own units from being hit. So this is where the game's getting a little bit more interesting now, because the third base has been opened up because of mining of the wood. I also have a cleric mixed in. The cleric, it's kind of like a priest. It'll give healing to my spearmen. Any unit really, it heals. Apart from, of course, the catapults, as they are mechanical units. So let's talk about the faction differences real quick, because generally Order are a much slower faction, whereas Nature are quite mobile. And so we can see these spiders and these archers having no real problem dodging those catapults, so long as they're being microed well. However, the airship transports have been built, and so those are, as the name suggests, transports. And because I'm sort of locked in the base here, it's hard for me to push out, but I do want to punish the fact, I know he has a third expansion. Oh man, this is a very bad engagement for him. He's going to lose all of his army. He must have been macroing back at his base. Also, the webs do slow the spearmen, so we can see they're unable to kite backwards. But now the spearman has been killed. The front line's gone. Once again, burning down the spirit dwarves. So that the mana hasn't been too bad so far, but the thing is with the Spellbringers is you can actually unlock more powerful spells throughout the game. So it looks like neither of us have the altar yet. Each faction gets an altar, and that unlocks powerful new spells, which would make a very big difference in the late game. And so the more spells you get, the more restrictive your mana becomes, and also because the late game spells cost more mana, so you have to be careful about the mana. But the alphas also have this ability called it's like sacrifice or something, and you can spend your gold to replenish the mana of your Spellbringer. So it becomes an economic investment to maintain that mana supply. So very much a big part of the game. And it does lead to some very interesting battles, because those abilities are quite impactful, especially the late game ones. So now I'm going to go for a drop here, a double airship transport drop with 2 catapults. Very deadly against buildings, and because I don't really have any units that oh, look at these spore traps. Oh, that's deadly. So these sprites, they deploy spore traps, which of course speak for themselves, don't they? They do damage over time, they slow units down. Very, very deadly here if not spotted. They are cloaked, but they can be revealed. But another very powerful unit, the Airship Defender. They're kind of like a battle cruiser. You can't manually target them. They're like a barrage unit. They will shoot at any random unit, but very, very powerful, especially if they use elevation. So there's a lot more anti-air mixed in now, and now there's the catapult drop. Going to be sniping this Dendroid tree herd, or not quite, because I retargeted the hold. So he has to use his Entwine ability, taking it down not quite that quickly because he has the Entwine. Now really what I should be doing here is actually, there's the Dendroid being sniped. What I should do is attack ground on those artisans, the peasants. Because, oh look at this, the airship defender's sniping out these rangers and the spiders. Looks like Bob was actually microing back at his base while that happened. Another airship going to be cutting off the reinforcements, or rather the retreating rangers. So, yeah, when those artisans were splashed up, they would have been taken out very quickly by the airship defender. But Spellbringers, it is a very fast-paced game. There's a lot of macro to do, and so it is hard to micro. It is like StarCraft in the level of actions per minute required. It's a very, very, very quick game. Once again, going in for the hold there. So now there's no Entwine ability. It has a long cooldown. So this hold can go down pretty quickly from these 4 castles. But here is Bob with his rangers sniping at the airships, so there's no retreat. So long as these rangers are in the minimum range and they're avoiding these shots, they will take them down pretty quickly. So unfortunately, this attack is cleaned up. Couldn't quite get the hold down. Still, I'm locked out of my 3rd base. I have a pretty good army of airship defenders, but they're so slow that I can't attack out with them. And once there's enough anti-air units, whether it is the rangers, the rangers are upgraded archers, or the sprites, because the sprites themselves have magic damage, so they're a very strong counter to the airships, then those airships can go down pretty quickly. So and at this point I think the gold mine has actually ran out, so yeah, only on 1 base economy, whereas Bob here having his 2 bases and even a 3rd base is expanding for. So it's going to be hard to get back in the game at this point, but the 3rd is going down. Bob's army, however, much larger than my own. I'm on 50 supply. He's on 101.
Your building is complete. I come to cleanse this land.
But if these airships get a good battle, like if they fight over the high ground here, very, very deadly. This is exactly how the airships want to engage. It's very hard for the rangers to snipe this, and they can always kite back over their airship to block the vision. There is the spirit dwarves to repair this airship very quickly. Once again, the entire army getting obliterated, but now there's a Kowaddle. That is an anti-air unit. It has a weak ground attack, very strong anti-air attack. And the airship defenders, as you can see, they have no air attack whatsoever. They need to be supported by the spearmen. Spearmen, however, getting cleaned up in that battle. So with the spearmen support taken out, it's a sad sight for these airship defenders. GG. That is it. So that is a look at Spellbringers. Yeah, that was a pretty fast-paced game. They're a bit more slower, I should say, in terms of the build-up. Normally, both players will go for an expansion each, but that was definitely an exciting game. And yeah, if you want to play Spellbringers with us, you can join the Discord. We have a community there of a few people, and we haven't even launched the game yet. It's sort of internal testing, I should say. So we're looking to launch it, get the word out, play some games. I say we, I'm like, so it's a one-man project, but I say we because myself and some other people have been play testing it for a while and giving feedback and suggesting changes and working here with Bob to make it into a really compelling and competitive RTS. So thank you. See you later. And in the description, you'll see a link to the Discord.